And we are live.
Yay!
Welcome back to Carla Astrology. And today, my special guest is Dawn from Aurora Dawn. How are you doing?
Hello. Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. This is the first time in a while that the house has been very quiet.
Oh my goodness. I know every time I talk to you there's somebody running around.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Little
And
one.
no babies, so this should go pretty smoothly.
Yeah, that's good.
My daughter's getting ready to head back to college, so she's going to come peck me on the cheek in a little bit here.
Okay.
So tell me about your channel. Like how long have you had your channel now?
Um I've had it for quite a while, and I think I started really making videos 2019, 2018, 2019 started using my channel. I've had it, didn't really use it.
Right.
Um, and then I started looking into, well, how do you grow a channel? And using it to put messages out that I want to share with people, and share what I'm going through. I think that right there is very helpful. Just for one person to say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with, and this is how I'm working on it, and this is what has really been a game changer for me. That's very helpful. And I love watching other people's videos when they discuss that. So, and my business is based on life coaching. Um, I got my certification through Holistic Learning Centers, and it took me about 2 years to get it. So it's not like a weekend or, do a retreat and get your certificate. I mean, this is really in depth. You go through it first, and then the teacher teaches you how to bring other people through the system or program, whatever you want to call it. I put together a course because not a lot of people can afford $80 to $125 an hour to work with a coach one-on-one. So I thought, well, I started working with people in groups, and it worked out really well. But I was in a brick and mortar metaphysical store. And so people, I don't know what it is, but people see you and they trust you, and they have no trouble joining your class. But online, it's a whole different world. So I lost that metaphysical store when we had a huge flood. So I've been trying to switch over to online, and it's just, I'm racking my brain. um
Wow, I didn't
so
realize you had a course.
yeah, I do. It's 3 months long. And after about the first month, most people go through an aha, now I get it. Now I understand why my life is the way it is. And then I bring them through a series of exercises to help them make serious changes. And it's very powerful, and it's really helped a lot of people. Some people I've worked with after the course because they've gotten to a certain point where they needed additional support. I'm gonna look over here because I want to see everybody. Hello,
Yes, we have B. We we have Carol,
Carol.
and we have Good Journeys Tarot. Um
Who's the sunflower?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and the beautiful Aurora Dawn today. So, tell me about that. Um,
With
why
the course?
Aurora? Yeah,
The course or the name?
the Aurora.
Aurora Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about a name for my business, and I was meditating on it and contemplating, and the name came to mind. And I was thinking, I'm a sun worshiper. I love the sun. I love the moon too, but the sun is just, I grew up in LA. So, I mean, it's just the beach and sitting out in the sun and soaking up the sun is just a big thing for me. So when you think of Aurora, like Aurora Borealis,
Yeah, that's what I was.
the sun releases this energy that hits the earth and creates these colors. And to me, it's like the sun is embracing the earth, is kissing the earth, it's
Mm,
bringing energy to the earth, and displaying a rainbow kind of, or colors and swirls and waves and things. And I just thought it was just very a beautiful thing. So that's it's showing the relationship between the earth and the sun, and how we need both of them to survive. So that's where it came from. And there's a novel named Aurora Dawn.
really?
I've never read it, but it's out there.
Well, I'm curious now. So, okay, so yeah, back to your course. Can you tell me what you charge for that?
I charge $300 for 3 months, and I do give a discount if you pay the entire thing up front. Um, but I allow people to pay in installments. It's helped a lot of people out, so I'm flexible that way. I'm just not sure how to get it online, and I guess I could videotape, doing the classes, and that's fine with me, except for at the end. At the end, it does take a coach to help people through and
Right.
to answer questions all the way through too. So I need to be available.
Right.
So as far as like a classroom online, I don't know that that's actually necessary, but it
Mhm.
does help give structure for people, and it helps them to actually go to the class and participate and interact, and so it's very helpful and helps them keep on schedule. But the last class is very difficult to really make it work without somebody assisting them, because your ego has lied to you all of your life, and it's not a bad thing. Your ego is designed to keep you safe. Unfortunately, it's using unconscious programming that you picked up from other people that isn't really true. It isn't quite accurate. And so it's using that and saying, hey, you're in a dangerous situation when you're not, or you need to be afraid of this person when you really don't. You know what I mean? And so when you get to that point where you're pulling stuff up from your shadow and you don't know what the truth is. So it's very helpful to have a coach to help you, guide you, and ask you the questions that you need to be asking yourself to detangle and to bring clarity to it. So that's where I come in.
Especially if you're conditioned in your old age.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of untangling. So
sure,
that's
sure.
very, very interesting. And I really love what you said about your channel, where it's not just putting out content, it's content to help people. And by
Right.
relating your own journey and the things that you struggle with, people can relate. And
Hmm.
I think that's beautiful. And I see that when I watch your videos.
Oh, cool, cool,
You
good.
know, I mean, I learn and I take it in, and it always makes me go,
Yeah, good.
absolutely.
I'm doing my job.
Yes, yes. And you are quite the gardener.
Well, yeah. Right now the squash is taking over the garden, and the cantaloupe has gone crazy. And the cantaloupe the seeds came from the compost that I put in the garden last fall, and they were popping up, so I let them grow, and now they're taking over. So
Wow. Now,
yeah,
are you a cook too? I mean, do you
yes,
like?
yes,
Oh
and
wow.
preserve it, and I can.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
so.
with zucchini, if you have zucchini, you might want to invest in a dehydrator,
Okay.
because you can dehydrate it in chunks and then put it in a mason jar. And then I have those, those they're food grade little packets that keep your food,
Mhm.
everything in the container dry. You put a couple of those in a quart canning jar and leave them in chunks. And then when you go to bake something, grind it up into a flour, and then add to your regular wheat flour. I haven't done it yet, but that's my plan. So I've been dehydrating lots of zucchini to put in storage, and I think there you go. Okay, she's back. No? Uh-oh. You're stuck.
Hi.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry about that. My daughter called me, and when she does that, it messes up my video stream.
Okay.
So
anyway, dehydrate the zucchini, you grind it up into a flour, and you mix it in with your regular flour.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right. It happens.
Hi, Faith. I'm in the middle of a live stream here, sis.
I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I'm so sorry. Actually, I was calling to actually ask you when you were doing your podcast. I'm so sorry.
Probably next Friday, honey.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well,
I will
call later, right?
All right. I'll call you later tonight, honey. I love you.
I love you too.
All
Bye.
right. Bye. Well, anyway.
It's too funny.
Yeah. I have two screens up, thank goodness, because that it always happens. So I try to be prepared for just that.
Right.
Okay, so you were talking about the flour, and I caught most of it.
Right.
Hopefully the ladies in chat were able to see that. So you can read chat, because Carol asked if you can grind it up to a flour and use it in making zucchini bread.
Right. See, I'm going to refresh this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have chat up. Okay, there we go. Can you grind it up in flour? And yes, I believe you can. I believe some people do that. So that's helpful. I haven't done it yet, though. Uh-oh. Ta-da!
Hey, take it back. All right. Okay, so with everything, and I apologize for all that too, by the way. So with everything, that I'm hearing, I'm wondering, do you put yourself in the category like to call yourself a witch or a practitioner of that? Because I'm seeing a lot of earthy stuff coming from you. Do you use anything like that too?
Absolutely. And I discuss spell casting and some things that I've discovered in my spells. Like, for instance, I'm considering doing a justice spell on America, on this country. I mean, yeah, because I'm sure you've heard Roe v. Wade. It was rolled back. Mm-hmm. And from what I've read and researched and heard, is that the majority of the people in this country want Roe v. Wade. They want it. They believe it's a good thing. And so it's, excuse me, a small group of people who are trying to overturn that and push, their agenda or their opinion or their idea of what we all should be adhering to, push that on us, whether we want it or not. And so I was thinking about it. Well, the reason why it would work is because the majority of the population of this country want it. So if it was a majority of the people didn't want it, and I'm trying to bring justice, it's not going to work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I do a lot of spell work and like healing spells and money spells and things like that. And I'll tell you about money. Every time I would cast a spell for money, I would start getting these, offers for credit cards. You start seeing those. I start seeing those. I'm like, universe, this isn't real money. This is credit. This isn't
Yeah.
real. I
Right.
want money in my bank account. And
Yeah.
more would show up, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Am I missing something? And then I started, I bought this ebook about credit secrets, and they were talking about your problem isn't that you have too much debt. Your problem is you don't have enough credit. And I started thinking about that. My credit score was really low. It was in the mid 600s. And so I noticed that they kind of, that some of the credit card companies, I don't know if all of them do this, but they kind of adjust the interest rate based on your credit score. That's one of the things anyway. And so if I could make adjustments to that so my credit score was better, then if I needed to buy a car, the monthly payments would be a lot less, and so on and so forth. So I started working on that, and I've got so much credit now. It's it's crazy. It's insane. And my credit score has gone up, and things just feel better. And so, universe, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Just because it's not real money, it's still money I have access to. It's credit.
Right.
It's money I have access to if I need it. So if I needed, like if I totaled the car, we have a lot of deer. I've hit 4 deer since I've been up here, 4 different times, and it can do a big number on your car and your vehicle. And so having that credit for emergencies is very helpful. So I got it. But sometimes we get the answer to our spell, but we don't get it. You know what I mean? We have to dig a little bit and open our minds up and say, okay, what am I missing? Give me a clue.
Hi. Sorry.
Hey, sweetie, who's that?
She's like, hey, her name is Derpy.
Derby.
She was a rescue kitty. She's like, I'm assuming maybe almost 20. She can barely see or hear.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think she wants outside is what it is. But it's raining. It's raining. You don't, she still fights me on it. So that's right. Hey. Yeah, she's sweet though. So that is, I agree with you, definitely. Mine wasn't so much with spell work, but with my state of mind. It's like manifesting that I'm wealthy.
Right.
Act like I'm wealthy.
Yeah.
And then I know stuff, starts getting better. So I am not real I don't know a lot about rituals and stuff like that, but I'm trying to learn. So do you consider that like a spiritual journey at all? Like your witchcraft? Okay.
Yeah. Witchcraft to me is very individualistic and very experiential.
Okay.
Whatever you experience is something that is good for you and right for you, then it is. And so if somebody else comes along and says, oh, you're doing it wrong, well, no, because you've experienced it. For instance, if I told you ghosts were real and you'd never had any experience with a ghost, you could go, oh, yeah, right, whatever. But I've experienced a ghost. So no matter what you say about whether ghosts are real or not, it doesn't matter because I've experienced it firsthand. So I know.
Absolutely. Wow.
Makes a big difference. Yeah. So witchcraft is your path. It's what you make it. A lot of the books that are out there, you'll notice that they're really basic. And there's not a lot about advanced witchcraft because really once you get the basics down, you're on your own. You need to make that your path. You need to develop your intuition, your whatever, if you want to use tarot or a pendulum or a crystal ball or all of them, a bunch of different tools to figure out what your path is and where you need to go, use them. and find out what works for you. And it's basically what brings you joy. If you know, lighting a candle and incense in the morning and preparing your day and speaking to your god or goddess or both, you know, do it. If that feels good to you. You know, other people, other witches don't get into the deities, the gods and goddesses. So what? That's their path, and it works for them. Then, you know, who am I to say otherwise? So I think it's very important to, that joy thing is very important.
So, okay, so like my previous guests, I could like probably put each one of them in a category. And so I am just voicing an opinion, but you are to me like a counselor. You're like the counselor person. You're somebody that I would definitely look to if I needed help with something spiritual.
Right.
You emit it. It's
Absolutely, I do. That's why I'm a life
yeah.
coach. That's why I
Yeah.
went through 2 years to get that certification, because that was my heart's desire. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to do.
So what do you think makes you a witch? Because do you think that's just the fact that, you know, for you, what do you think makes you a witch?
What makes me a witch is spellcraft and
Okay.
rituals and working with magic, working with nature.
Okay.
I connect with nature. I I'm not big on the big named gods and goddesses, right? So I'm more interested in connecting with nature spirits in my backyard. The trees, talking to the trees, they've told me their names. I give them a blessing every spring when they come, you know, bud out. And I talk to them, communicate with them. I know there are nature spirits because I kicked them out of the house because they were making too much noise and they were, you know, causing a ruckus. So I kicked them out. No more. But I mean, there are a lot of, you know, that going on, and why not connect with that and become part of the ground that we live on and interact with nature that way. And I think that's part of being a witch.
Yeah, that's what April was just asking. Can you define witch if you haven't already?
It's kind of hard to define witch, you know. A witch or witchcraft is I think what is common among all witches is that connection to nature. And so, you know, not the deities, because some don't follow that. But it's, for me, it's more of a solitary path. I'm not big on the covens, because they're, I don't know if you've heard of any of the horror stories that come out of coven work and stuff, covens and stuff. Somebody gets an ego trip and a power trip and they're narcissistic and they just, yeah, it's not a good thing. So I'm really, you know, I got away from the church because I didn't want to be in that kind of environment. And covens tend to go that way. This is the way to do it. If you don't do it this way, then you're not a witch. What?
I was just having this conversation yesterday. I feel that religion and that when you box yourself in, it's the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you hear witches say, you know, the threefold rule, and you got to cast your circle starting in the east, and you got to do this, and you got to cast a circle. Well, no, you don't. But when they start, you know, Wicca comes from Gardner. He took that word, but it's more of a religion, because they're basically telling you this is how you practice witchcraft. But it's not really true, because there are witches in different parts of the world that practice differently. So really, let's see, what are your feelings about ceremonial magic? Okay, ceremonial magic, I have spent a lot of time looking at it because I was very attracted to it, because there's a lot of logic to it. There's a lot of study, and I thought that was really cool. But I kept getting hung up on Yahweh, really hung up on Yahweh. Like, why are you saying we have to follow Yahweh? Did you not read the Old Testament? Do you not know what Yahweh is all about? I'm just not big on Yahweh. And so I walked away from it, and I said, I'm going back to witchcraft. And it's because I can control it. It's my path. I don't have to follow somebody else's, well, you got to do this and this and this. And I have found my path, when I do it the way that works really well with me, then it's more powerful than following somebody else's instructions.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. Jonathan had mentioned the Omnism, which is like the belief that there's truth in all religions, but there's like half truth. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of truth in all of it. So, but not all of it is the truth. Not every religion is the absolute truth. It's just a little bit of all of it. And that's kind of what I think. And I think about that with everything, anything spiritual. I feel like if we come together on that common ground, which is love, to me, it's just embracing each other's differences.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story. I was back in North Carolina, and I got sick. I gave blood when I shouldn't have, but they did the centrifuge thing, and they said, okay, you're okay to give blood. Well, I never recovered, and I was feeling clammy and nauseous and whatnot, and I got better as far as that was concerned, but I got really fatigued. Like, I was falling asleep sitting at my desk at work. It was just bizarre. And I went to a doctor. That was the last time I ever went to a conventional doctor, because she said there was nothing wrong with me. My hair's falling out. My tongue feels like there's a little cuts on it. My stomach feels like there are rocks in it. What's wrong with me? I can't stay awake during the day, and I get 8 hours of sleep. What's wrong with me? And she said, there's nothing wrong with you. So out. I went to a naturopath and found out my liver was inflamed. So that's a long story, but the naturopath helped me. But what was interesting is this naturopath had this machine. It was software, and he would use the acupuncture spots on the fingers that correlate with the organs in the body, and he found that my liver was inflamed. And then he went through herbs, and he used the same software to figure out which herb would work best with my body. So, dandelion root is really good for the liver. Milk thistle is really good for the liver. But those didn't ring true or not true, but were not the best for my body. My body would not respond as well as with yellow dock. So he put me on yellow dock, because my body was saying yes to yellow dock. And not that dandelion root and milk thistle would not have worked. It would have worked, but the dock was more in alignment with my body. I guess my body would respond to it better. So he found that out using this software. It was just amazing. And so when I learned that, I took that to different places in my life. So just because an herb works really well for one person doesn't mean it's going to work well for everybody. Same thing with your spiritual path. Just because one person really works well with casting a circle and doing all the ritual stuff, it doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, yeah. So with my pendulum, I came across this little book called Letter to Robin. You can download the PDF of this little booklet for free. And it teaches you how to program your dowsing system. So whatever dowsing tool you pick up, a pendulum or a bobber or the rods, whatever you pick up will follow. Your subconscious has already been programmed to use it, so it'll follow that program. And I thought, well, what about tarot? Because there are different ways of reading tarot, right? You can take the card and flip it this way over, or you can flip it this way over, right? Well, how are you going to, because it changes things when you shuffle differently. You shuffle one way or you shuffle another way. You flip the cards, you know. In having, so I wrote out a program. This is the way I'm going to read my cards. And I thought that was just so empowering, saying this is how I'm going to read it. So I'm working with my subconscious to bring those messages and to control how I shuffled the cards, because I'm going to shuffle it this way versus the other way. So my subconscious is working with me.
That's very profound, because isn't that what we're supposed to be listening to anyway? You know?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, the subconscious, that's they want us to reach those higher vibrations and become more enlightened, and so they're that gateway to the source anyway, our higher self. So yeah, empowering is, I can imagine. That's, so you just like, you actually created a PDF yourself for
No,
this?
not the letter to Robin was written by last name is Woods. I can't remember his first name. He's no longer on the, you know, on the side of the plane of the veil. He's passed on, but he wrote this. He was an expert dowser. And so he wrote this book because he kept getting questions about how to use the pendulum, and then he decided just to write this booklet, and they give it away for free. I mean, but I went to Amazon and I bought a bunch of them for a class, because I was teaching this in a class. So
Okay.
vibrations, some work with our own. So you work with your own vibration instead of forcing a different vibration that doesn't work for you. Reiki is a really good example of a system that's programmed, because Reiki is programmed to do good, to do positive things. So if you try to use Reiki for harm, it just won't work, because it's programmed to only do good. And it's a very powerful program.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know much about that, but I have, like, you know, especially like my loved ones, I guess it's a natural thing to want to heal them with my hands, but I've never taken a class, so I believe what I'm doing is good.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how about psychic gifts? Do you feel like you have any of the clairs?
I feel I'm clairvoyant. Mostly. I get impressions, feelings, and messages. Mostly what I do when I do a reading for somebody is I talk to my spirit guides and connect to the person I'm reading for. I connect to their spirit guides, so that I am not violating anybody's rights, and I'm getting it straight from the horse's mouth, right? So I'm not reading your energy, because your energy could have all kinds of weird stuff going on in it, and I may not be able to interpret it. So if I'm communicating with your spirit guides, I can get a better reading, and I can ask questions and get responses, and a lot of times I'll get clues. Like somebody's dog will show up and it'll have a meaning, because the dog will, you know, dance in a circle or something like that. Oh yeah, she always danced in a circle when she wanted to go out and take a walk. And I said, well, maybe this means you need to go take a walk, you know, do some more walking. The dog may have passed on, and this is a message saying you need to get out and walk. So, you know, something like that. But yeah, and every once in a while, I'm not going to say I'm a medium, because I can't facilitate that kind of situation, but sometimes somebody's loved one who's passed on will show up.
Right.
But I'm not going to promise that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, but sometimes it shows
Absolutely.
up. Sometimes that happens.
Absolutely. And I think maybe that's something that, since that does periodically happen, if that was something you really wanted to do, you could like master that if you wanted to.
Yeah,
But that's not
definitely.
really like
I
what you want to do, maybe. Or,
really get into the spirit guides. It really
Mhm.
feels good. So, yeah, and if there's somebody's loved one shows up, that's great. That's like a bonus
Okay. I see what you're
for
saying.
me.
So do you like, do you have any influences or like idols that, like maybe like you've adopted or taken from them, like a majority?
Um, Kind of, sort of. I'm at the stage, I've been practicing over 25 years, so I've pretty much gotten into my own groove. But influences, I would say Christopher Penzek. I took his first two books, Inner and Outer, what is it? Temple of Witchcraft. That's what it is. Inner Temple of Witchcraft and Outer Temple of Witchcraft. And I use those two books to teach witchcraft classes because I thought they were so perfect as beginner lessons and information. So I was doing that for a while until I lost that metaphysical score to a flood.
What was his name?
Christopher Penzak. It's
Okay.
yeah, Pencz Penzak, AK.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a Eastern European name.
Interesting. Thank you. Because it's a
Yes.
name I haven't heard of. And I'm always browsing through Audible looking for my next book to listen to.
Yeah.
So, and like other divination tools that you use besides like tarot, you talked about a pendulum, obviously nature, but like runes or astrology.
No on the runes or the astrology, but I did. This is funny. I had this apartment where I had a huge mirror in the bathroom, and I think that there was light like outside of the bathroom, and I sat down and I was looking up at the mirror. And so I just got really relaxed, and all of a sudden it looked like steam was rising up in the mirror, And I went, oh, I'm done. I'm out of here. Because I didn't know what I was doing. And, and that's not always a good thing when you don't know what you're doing, because you could be opening the door to who knows what.
Absolutely. Well, that
So,
kind of that, you've hinted a couple times now, so I'm going to dive in. Tell me about your like ghostly or paranormal experiences. Do you have some
okay.
like stand out?
Just little things like a bedroom that I lived in had a lot of light in it, and which was kind of interesting because when I turned around, I saw this wispy, like misty kind of thing up in the corner of the bedroom, and then it disappeared. Just little things like that.
Okay.
And then one morning I woke up and I was lying on my stomach, my head was turned, and when I opened my eyes, there was this little being about, I don't know, 6 inches tall, looked like Mother Mary. I don't know where that came from, but I saw her with my physical eyes. I was not dreaming. So that was pretty wild. I've seen fairies, like out of the corner of my eye, playing in the plants, swinging through the plants and stuff. And I had this love seat, and the fairies were sliding down the love seat down to the cushions. Little things like that. Ghostly things there when I was how old was I? 9 to 10, somewhere around there. we lived in a house. I was upstairs. I had the whole upstairs to myself. Loved it. I was lying down on my bed and was looking at this paper bag that was on the floor, and it moved. I kid you not, I ran out of that house so fast because I was scared. I was a kid, you know, what was
Right.
this? What's going on?
Mhm.
It moved by itself. And there was another time I threw something, I don't know, I just kind of threw something up. I was in my bedroom and it never came down. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
what was that? What is going on? Wow. Yeah. So that was kind of weird. And, you know, I didn't know what was going on. I was just a kid at the time. But just little things like that. Nothing really big. Um, After my dad died, I was here in this house, and about 2 weeks later, I heard something in the basement, and I had chased out all the nature spirits who were making a lot of noise in the house, and it had been years since they'd been causing a ruckus. So when I heard that noise, it's like, okay, who is in here that would be allowed to be in here? Because the nature spirits were not allowed, right?
okay.
And my dad had died, you know, 2 weeks ago, so I tuned in and I realized it was my dad trying to get my attention. So little things like that, but nothing major.
You know, I am a person that, like, I believe things, but that belief can change. Just
Hmm.
from talking to people like you know, that are sharing their experiences with me, you know, and I always thought, you know, ghosts could be like spirits, like earthbound spirits type, that they
Hmm.
haven't moved on, or, you know, but sometimes I wonder if some of those experiences aren't interdimensional beings,
Hmm.
you know, because I think the aliens aren't, not all of them come out of a spaceship, you know, they're just alien to this plane, so they're interdimensional. And, you know, I mean,
Right.
like your fairies, you know, I mean, and the fact that you can see those sometimes is, you know, that those aren't ghosts, those are, you know,
Right. Right.
fairies. So
Right.
I sometimes wonder if you know, like you said, that you knew that was your dad messing with you. It's like, do you believe that he eventually moved on, or do you think
Absolutely.
that, you know, yeah, okay, so what do you think a ghost really is?
I I call a ghost uh um a human who has died, but has not crossed over.
Okay.
But a spirit, and I learned this from somebody who is a medium,
Okay.
and so I just kind of followed her teaching. A spirit is somebody who has crossed over and has come back to either, you know, watch over you or give you guidance and whatnot, but they're in a higher plane. They're not on the earth plane. So a ghost is more of a on the earth plane.
Okay. That makes sense. So like when someone is going into say to investigate,
Hmm.
they're ghost hunters.
Hmm.
What do you think they're dealing with, especially if it's the, you know, like you hear the stories, this ghost has been here for 100 years, you know, do you think it's still the same ghost
I
that
think
was
it's
there?
possible. I think it's
Okay.
possible. From what I understand from learning from other people, is that they have to have a source for energy to keep them going.
Okay.
And if they can find a source for energy, then they can just keep going forever. But I believe there are like nature spirits or fairies in the astral plane that can interact with us, and I think that because they're in a higher dimension than us, that they are more in control of whether they make themselves visible to us or not. That's just my opinion. Um, but yeah, I think there are all kinds of things in the astral plane, not
Yeah.
just ghosts.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love the way that you explain it, because I was, we're going on a ghost hunt. My daughter and I call it ghost hunt, but it's Ghost USA. She's 19, and that's what she told me she wanted to do for her birthday. Her 20th birthday is go to one of those ghost hunts, and you see them on TV all the time. And I'm
Oh,
thinking,
yeah.
I'm gonna. One shows us they're chasing this ghost that is a little boy, and he's keeps throwing the ball back and forth. They're like playing catch, and I'm like, something tells me that's really not the ghost of a 10-year-old little boy. I feel like it's something else. I don't
Right.
know, but
Yeah, well, I
no.
mean,
So
it could be. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how it all works. I don't know if anybody really knows how it works, but it could be somebody on the astral plane pretending to be a 10-year-old.
it could be right. So
Yeah.
regardless, how do you protect yourself from something like that? If it could
I
be.
have found, no, this, I'll tell you the story about living in this house. When I first moved in here, Skip bought the house and he lived here. Skip, by the way, is my sweetheart, my love of my life. He bought this house and was living here before I moved in. And when I moved in, I was like, good grief, there's noise everywhere. There's footsteps, there's knocking, there's it sounds like a bunch of boxes fell over, typical ghost like sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Skip, is it always this noisy? He said, yeah, I guess, just ignore it. All right, well, what I did is I started blessing the house, and I
Mm-hmm.
would do it every day. And after a while, the house was very quiet. And then I would do it like once a week. And then it got to once a month. And now I just, every once in a while, when I realize I haven't done it for a while, then I bless the house and it keeps it quiet. And I haven't had any disturbance. Now I did start seeing fairies or nature spirits or whatever were moving around in the house, and I told them, you can be here, but no shenanigans, no mischief.
Right.
And I mean that, because my life is stressful enough as it is. If you go hiding my keys and hiding my stuff,
Yep.
I'm gonna go through the roof. And so they left. They wanted to play, and and that's fine. That's fine, but I can't.
Right.
I'm in a post-menopause now, and I can't handle it like I could when I was a kid, when I was younger.
Do you think that maybe some people are like they attract that type of activity more, or is it maybe centralized to a location? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I have heard that it can be geolocation, like the what's going on with the earth in that location.
Okay.
There's a guy named Raymond Grace, very interesting. He's a dowser. He talks.
Okay.
I have his book, Things That Work for Me, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And he has stories in there of, somebody calls him up and says, my child is lethargic or is angry all the time, or something's going on, I don't understand it. He comes in and he finds a spot underneath the kid's bed where there's something going on with the earth. And it's bad energy. It's bad for us. It's just natural. It's normal. No, there are no spirits or anything causing it. It's just that's part of the earth. And he comes in with his pendulum or his bobber, and he changes the energy there so that it's no longer harmful. And then the child is like fine after that.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Yes.
I am definitely going to have to check that out.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, check him out. But as far as like, okay, chicken or the egg, which comes first? I believe people can have a vibration that makes it easy to communicate or see or hear or notice spirits, you know. I think it's both ways. I really do. Okay, what is this? Have you ever asked any of these ghosts wanted why they were there? The encounters I had were so quick. Like the misty kind of thing in the corner was just there for a few seconds and then disappeared. And the little being that looked like Mother Mary, she was only there for a few seconds. So I did not ask them. Oops, sorry. As far as like the nature spirits, I got the feeling that they wanted to play. And like I said, I was in, especially at that time, I was going into menopause, and you know, cortisol was going through the roof, and I just couldn't handle it. So I told them, please, just, you know, you need to leave. And they honor that. They're okay with that. So let's see. Oh, I could tell you a story. Oh, this is a good story. Okay, so Skip and his business partner were buying houses and flipping them. And I went to help him with one house. It was dusk out, so it's starting to get dark. We went inside. I'm like, holy crap, I want out of here. It felt really bad. It felt just like somebody telling me to get out, get out, get out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got out of the house and I waited for Skip, and then we got in the car, and I said, you know, I really did not feel comfortable in this house. And he says, I'm not surprised. The guy who owned it committed suicide. So he shot himself. So we went back to the house, and I decided I was going to communicate with him. And I tuned in and started talking to him. I was outside this time. And just talking to him about, you know, what happened, what was going on. And he told me his story. And I said, you know, you can cross over, just look for the light, and you'll get help, you'll get love, and loved ones will be there for you. And he eventually crossed over. So that was really cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And, you know, I just kind of stumbled into it as like, let's try this. Let's see if I can talk to him.
Yeah.
So, and it worked. It was great.
That's amazing. That's,
yeah.
If, you know, to be able to help, that's a wow. I can't even tell you, because I don't think I've ever done anything like that, but
yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, well, I want to ask you some fun questions.
Okay.
You know, I think ghosts are fun too. I've got to tell you,
Yeah.
more interesting, you know. So like, what kind of music do you like, Dawn?
Pretty much everything except for country and rap. I like to listen to my go-to, the group that I like to listen to a lot is U2, who they're out of Ireland. Yeah, that is my favorite. I listened to their music when I was a teenager, started listening to them when I was about 18. Somebody gave me a cassette tape. Remember those? Back when
yes.
dinosaurs roamed the earth.
I remember taking the pin and having to re-roll the dang stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, I would listen to that, and it really, their music just got me through my teenage years. So, I really like the way they write their music is very unusual, very creative, and the lyrics are very deep, and it feels like it reaches inside of me, you know.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's my favorite band.
That's excellent. I was kind of, to me, music is it does speak to you here, you know, because you feel things when you listen to it. And so I was just kind of curious. So, okay. What do you think about the Myers-Briggs test? Have you ever taken it?
I did. Let me see if I can find the results. Because after, you know, we talked and you mentioned it, and I thought, well, maybe I can, because you can take the test.
Yes.
for free.
Yes.
So,
Yep. So I was just kind of curious.
okay.
Once you find your personality type, then they associate it with a tarot card. I was just
Oh,
wondering if,
I didn't get that far.
well, you can do that. I just figured
Okay.
it's like I'm an INFJ, which is the Queen of Cups.
Okay.
So, but even before you do that, do you have a tarot card that you like associate with that you feel like speaks to part of who you are?
I think the Empress speaks to me. I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying I
Right.
aspire to be the Empress.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Definitely. I
That's
really, it just stands out to me. But yeah, the Advocate,
the ad,
it's
that's the
IN, I think it's like yours,
INFJ.
INFJ-A.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there you
Absolutely.
go.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's what I am too, the advocate. And you're always wanting to advocate for people.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
My thing is I don't necessarily want to be the leader, but I want to bring them up to my level at least, and give
Mhm.
them what they need to go on and, do better than me even.
Yep.
So I'm definitely a team player. I want to bring people in and give them insight and help them be better.
And let me ask you this. The J means judgment. Do you believe that that means more you're judgmental of yourself than anybody could ever be of you? Am I right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why you strive to be the person that you are, because you're
right.
constantly looking at yourself.
Right. And so the subconscious belief, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm judging myself. Yeah, that often will come up.
Yeah. I I wondered if it's more like for myself is not that, but it's more like a um I always want to do better, so I try to not just quickly make decisions anymore or be rash. It's more like think
Mm,
about what I'm going to do before I do
yeah.
it.
Well, that's great because you can get into a rut and always respond a certain way.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And if you
Oh
stop
yes.
and say, "Hey, can I do this better?"
Hmm.
Just by asking yourself that question, you open the door to all kinds of information that can come in and help you make a better decision than just the one that you always make every time this situation pops up.
Isn't that the shadow that
Yeah, yeah,
constant
it's
so that
being conscious of the fact that I'm always responding the exact same way in this situation time and time again. And you know what? I don't like it.
yep,
So I'm going to be conscious of it next time so I can make a choice to behave or respond differently.
yep,
And that's huge.
absolutely.
It's huge. It's a big step towards, in doing your shadow work and
Hmm.
freeing yourself.
That's what I think the J stands for.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
And then being introvert, that's not the kind of like what you said. You don't want to be the leader. You want to
Right.
be, but
Supporter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, I've kind of got, you're a gardener. What other hobbies do you have besides, the everything that we've talked about?
Um, I like to journal, and I'm getting more into like art journaling, like multimedia, scrapbooking, junk journaling. Although with the junk journaling, I don't really get into true junk journaling where you take your junk mail and you make a book out of it.
Oh, boy, I could
Doesn't
make
do
a few books.
that's that I don't know, it's not my thing, but I like to, you know, if I get some junk mail and it's got like a really pretty flower picture on it, I'll cut that out and stick it in my journal. That's kind of like junk journaling.
Yeah, I've never done that. I kind of hopped on the board with my sister with the iPad and doing the digital journaling.
Yeah.
And it's because I started the journaling and I have like 5 different journals that I started and just never finished,
Yeah, same here. Guilty. Yeah, me too.
All right. So I want to play a little game with you.
Okay.
Game, but I'm going to pick 5 words and we're going to play word association.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Egg.
Chicken.
Old.
New.
Butterfly.
Gracious.
Oh, I love that. Death.
What?
Death.
Life.
And work.
Work. Is that what you said? Life.
Wow. So yeah. So you look to the positive in everything, which is, I can see that obviously.
Yeah.
And you are responsible, extremely responsible.
I try to be.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah.
And then, you see the bigger picture in everything, don't you?
I do. I try to do that. And it's hard to explain to other people when I see the bigger picture to explain it to them, because they want to stay right here in the little picture and they don't want to see and understand the big picture. And one of the big lessons I've learned is trying to explain forgiveness to people. And I've decided to change the wording. Instead of forgiveness, you're disconnecting from your abuser. And people get that. But when you say forgiveness, oh, no way, there's no way I can forgive. And it's, you're not letting the other person off the hook. That's not what forgiveness is all about. No. Forgiveness is protecting yourself from losing all your energy to your abuser. It doesn't mean you're letting them off the hook. It's really hard for somebody to be compassionate and understanding of somebody who is harming them, somebody who is abusing them. And what I try to teach is to understand where that other person's coming from. Not that it's okay to behave that way. No, but get to a place of compassion. And then when you come to them in an attitude of compassion, they will change the way they communicate with you or interact with you. I've seen it in my own life, and somebody's like really upset and angry and they're unleashing on me. It's not my fault. When I come back with, what can I do to help you resolve this? They're like, what?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's because I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm not getting caught up in this person's ego energy. I try and step out of that and into the bigger picture. So yeah,
absolutely. I think that's excellent. So what is your favorite season, Dawn?
Spring.
Really? Like, because it's
spring,
everything's rebirth and
yes, seeing the buds on the trees and the flowers starting to pop up, I get so excited. I'm like running through the house. The buds are coming out on the trees. They're budding out. Oh my gosh. I get really excited because then I can start working in my garden and start growing stuff. And I get so excited for spring.
That's awesome.
It's weird for a witch. I know, to be spring. It's usually Halloween. I love Halloween, you guys. Don't get me wrong. I love Halloween.
But for fall, because that's mine, I think it's almost like the same reason that you just said, because I know that things are coming to an end, because winter is just like a freeze of everything. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm in limbo during that. But fall, I understand that we're getting ready to go into that hibernation type mode. So it's almost like the same, the way that you say it, I can relate. It's
Right.
just a little bit before that. So what is your do you have like a favorite tarot deck that you use, or one that you find yourself gravitating more to?
Um, I have a Rider-Waite that I inherited from my aunt. It's just the basic Rider-Waite. And that's the one I've been using. I picked up, is it, oh, I can't remember the name of it. I haven't used it very much. I just got it. Is it oh, I can't remember. Sorry.
But you
But
you like it.
what's that?
I said you seem to like.
I like the Rider-Waite. I do. So I use that one a lot. But I like to mix it up a little bit, because I feel like if I have, and maybe this is an excuse to become a collector of tarot,
Okay.
like so many are. But I feel like the different decks have different ways of communicating. So
Yes.
I can use a particular deck for, like, I don't know, romance or love and companionship and stuff like that. And maybe another deck would be more of business or money, or, and then I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it, that
Mhm.
different decks could possibly communicate different messages.
I
I-
absolutely agree with that. Do you
I'm
find
still
that
experimenting.
me too? I'm pretty new. I mean, compared to a lot of people in the community, so I'm definitely right there with you.
Yeah.
So what about a crystal? Do you have like a favorite crystal that you're drawn
Um,
to?
Crystals. I use a lot of quartz crystals. I
Okay.
have one. Oh, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
This is kind of a ghost story
Ooh,
too.
I like that too.
But so I'm in my apartment, and I have this crystal from Tibet, and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and I have two cats over close to me, and they're looking at the center of the bed, and they're not looking too happy. They're looking a little worried, a little upset, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then my other cat jumps up on the other side of the bed and starts trotting towards me quickly, and then stops dead in his tracks and backs up. Something's going on in the center of my bed. I take my crystal up in the center, and the cats are all fine. My cat just walks right up to me, and the other two are relaxed and trippy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so quartz I use a lot. Um, Another one that I like a lot is Labradorite.
That's my favorite.
Yes, yes. I like to, yeah, it's for me, it's a travel stone for journeying and in meditation and trance work and stuff like that. I like to use it. And yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it helps with intuition and stuff. Even I
Yeah.
mean, I like the most of your blue stones and amethysts and stuff like that, but labradorite just says, "Kyla, hold me." Okay. Do you like oracle decks too?
I have an oracle deck somebody gave to me. The person who designed it, she gave me a deck.
Really?
And
That's nice.
it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's got little swirls and stuff. It's made on computer art. So it's really beautiful. Yeah, I use that. I like using it because it helps me think about things that I wouldn't normally think, a
Hmm.
lot of times we get into a rut. An oracle deck can kind of pull you out of that and make you
Absolutely.
think it's something that's outside of your rut.
Yeah. I find that tarot period for me is like a therapy session sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. can do that.
So how many decks do you have?
I have 3 tarot decks and 1 oracle deck, and then I have another one. It has like plants, like plant spirit kind of messages. It's not necessarily, well, I guess it's kind of sort of an oracle deck, but yeah, it's definitely outside of the box, kind of pulls you outside of that box when you read these messages from these plant allies, plant
Nice.
spirits. So it's a very cool deck. I like it.
Did I already ask you what your astrological sign is?
No, it's Libra.
That's interesting. Me too.
Yeah, you're a Libra too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
That's really interesting. So you're just so practical. It's like I feel like you're extremely down to earth and you're practical. And the fact you told me you just have 3 tarot decks confirms that.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure why I would associate that, but to me, that's says that you buy what you use, right?
I try.
Yeah.
Except I have a couple of cabinets full of like, candles and candle holders
right,
and
because of the
herbs and
witchy and yeah.
essential oils, or when I need them.
And you never know when you will. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Right.
All right. So now I'm going to pick your brain in a hypothetical sense.
Okay.
What do you think about, like, was Atlantis real?
I do think Atlantis was real. And I'm just thinking logically here. I don't know from experience, but
Right.
I think it could definitely be real, that there was a catastrophe that destroyed everything. And I'm thinking, if it happened once, it could happen again.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So you're thinking that all this stuff going on in the world, hello, people.
Yeah. We've been here before,
Yeah. So do you believe in do you believe in reincarnation and that maybe you've lived many lives before now?
Yes, definitely. I believe I had a dream that I was a fighter pilot in World War II, that
Wow.
I flew cargo planes and I flew fighter planes, and I went to somebody who does past life regression, and he regressed me, and I picked up on that fighter pilot thing, but I was wearing a khaki uniform. And I told the guy, because later it was a blue uniform, and I told him, I don't understand this. Why was it khaki? It looked like Army colors. And he said, well, the Air Force started out as Army Air Force, and they would have worn those khaki colors. And then later they would have switched over to the blue colors, the blue uniforms. So, okay, I think there's something there. Yeah.
You just got confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So have you ever been regressed or anything?
Yeah, that was a regression. That's when I told him I see myself in a khaki colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she says, I think Atlantis was real, but not on this earth.
Okay.
That's an interesting.
Here's something really interesting about, not of this earth, is when I was in college, was it college? No, it was high school. I was weird. I was a nerd. I'm still a nerd. I'm very nerdy. And I was in the library killing some time, and I was reading books on fourth dimension, and they were talking about how time is real in the fourth dimension. But it only affects us in the third dimension. We can't control it. If we were in the fourth dimension, we could control time. And they talk about astral traveling, where you can just think yourself somewhere and you're there in a split second. right? So you're controlling time.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, you know, if something in the fourth dimension can affect the third dimension without being in the third dimension, why not Atlantis? Atlantis could have been in the fourth dimension and when it was destroyed or had that catastrophe, it affected us. Maybe.
Absolutely. That is a theory that I could relate to, because I have my theories. I know that the things that I've read, Atlantis was a time, it was an era. So,
Mhm.
I mean, and if you think about like the prophecies of us talking about us moving into like the fifth dimension, ascension. I mean, we have to go through that fourth dimension, you know, which I believe
Mhm.
is kind of a mental plane, or at
Mhm.
least our consciousness exists there, but our physical self doesn't.
Right, right. Because the mind is not three-dimensional. Mind is multi-dimensional, and it's non-local, and that's science.
Yeah.
Science is Max Planck proved that, you know, your mind is not local. Your memories are not local. You're not control. Not your brain accesses them, but they're not in one spot in your brain.
Right.
So if they cut out a spot where they think the memories are, your memories can still be there. Or
Well,
unless they damage the brain where the brain is unable to access those memories. Their memories are still there. It's just the brain was damaged where it cannot access, but they're there. They're shadows of the fourth dimension. Yeah, so they see us as shadow and we see them as shadows. So ghosts. We see them as ghosts. They see us as ghosts.
isn't that interesting? Because
Yeah.
that's also kind of like, if we sometimes that ghost could be a projection of ourselves on say another part of the world, and maybe we're sleeping and we're astral projecting.
There is a story I heard. This is a true story where she was dreaming of this house. They were house hunting. And then she was dreaming of this house, and they were house hunting, and they saw the house, and she was like, oh, we got to see that house. We got to go walk inside, get inside that house, because I've been dreaming about that house right there. She walked in, and the people were like stunned, like, who are you? Why are you here? We've seen you here before, you know, like they've seen her in the house. What are you doing here? You know, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Wow. So they thought she was a ghost probably, and then here
Yes.
it is, you know.
Yes.
That's like,
And
it's
she
funny.
been in her dreams, she was there actually physically in her dream, in her astral body, was seeing the house, inside the house and looking at it.
See,
Yeah, just
that means
crazy.
all that's possible. I'm like, wow.
See, life is not boring.
Not at all. Mhm.
It's very
Well,
interesting.
so I could sit here and talk with you for hours about that stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if there's anything that I missed in my big long list of questions here. Oh, yes. Okay. The other one is, if you could pull somebody from history, from time as you know it, and pull them back to your time to pick their brain, who would that be?
Oh, it's got to be Einstein.
Oh,
Einstein or Newton,
yeah.
one of the two.
And
Yeah.
what would you ask them?
I would ask them about their thoughts of like what we were talking about, like the fourth
Mhm.
dimension. Is it possible for beings of some sort to live in the fourth dimension, like aliens, like what we see as aliens?
Yeah.
Would it be possible? You know, do the math. Can you do the math? Does it work logically that
Right.
there could be ghosts? Can you explain the paranormal? Because
Yeah.
there's so many scientists who say, "Oh, poo-poo, that's not real." That's because
Yeah.
they can't scientifically prove it.
Who's the fella? I can't even think of his name. It escapes me, but that happens a lot. In the wheelchair with the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Hawkins.
Yeah, Stephen Hawkins.
Yeah.
Even his books, like when he first started, talking about his theories and stuff, he changed his tune,
Hmm.
about on metaphysics. He even did like, you know, uh, time travel experiments. So, I mean,
Hmm.
he definitely changed his tune over time. So I think that we are getting there
I think Carl
scientifically.
Sagan, if I remember right, he started out as there's no way aliens could make it here to the earth. And I can't believe scientists would ever utter those words, because what makes you think they're at our level? What makes you think
Yeah.
they're still burning fuel rockets?
Yeah.
And they haven't figured out how to get here in a different way. But I think Carl Sagan changed his tune on aliens later. Yeah,
That's,
Einstein
I
would
would
be
hope.
a hoot.
I would
Yeah.
hope, because I think that that's part of the journey is, we can't stick ourselves in this box and just say, okay, I'm done learning.
Yeah.
Are you really? There's still so much to, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't retain everything that I read. So sometimes I have to read it more than once.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Me too.
there's a lot of stuff that once it resonates, it'll stick, and it helps build that belief system that I'm creating. And I don't think it's going to end anytime
Hmm.
soon. I'm just going to keep adding to it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I have really loved talking to you.
Yeah.
You're like a philosopher, you have a great mind.
Yeah. This has been
And
fun. I
yeah,
appreciate
and I love picking it.
it.
So, what do you have coming up? Do you have anything you have planned for your channel?
um, I really want to discuss overcoming subconscious beliefs, how to change them, how to work with them, how to, because when you go to cast a spell, if it's in direct opposition to a subconscious belief, it's not going to work. You have to do something with that subconscious belief and use it. Once you're conscious of what is in there, use it for spell work. Because, for instance, I have this subconscious belief that I am powerless. I have to be powerless in order to be safe. And this comes from years with my foster parents, where I didn't feel like I had a voice, so I had to be powerless to be safe. Otherwise, I'd be punished. And so I use that to because that is going to block me from being successful. So because I'm conscious of it, I can neutralize that energy of that subconscious belief before I go into spell work. And I feel that it is very important to do that. Otherwise, it is going to pop up and block you and, get in the way and sabotage the spell.
I understand that, because
So,
I've actually lent my energy to people that were trying to do spell work, but I never really was there. So
yeah,
I wonder, does my energy really help?
it depends on where your mind is at, your focus. In order for your own spell work or support of somebody else's spell work, or if you're doing a healing for somebody, your ability to focus on what it is you're trying to accomplish is huge, is
Okay.
very important.
That I
uh,
can do. That I
and
can do. I just don't know.
processing your emotions is very helpful too, because if you go into a spell angry and you haven't resolved that ahead of time, that can get things really squirrely.
Yeah.
Your energy goes out really squirrely.
Yep. One of the things that I definitely try to work on is my anger, because over the years, when my anger has reached a certain level, it's like I attract that, like,
Mm.
negative things, period. It's
Mhm.
not just my own, it's like my vibration or whatever at that point is attracting negative things. Like I hit a deer one
Yeah.
time. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I need to tone down that anger. you know. So I can definitely see that. So is there anything else you want to, tell me?
Ah, I definitely want to get into doing readings because I love it so much. But time, and there's some technical difficulties, things that I have to learn. But if I can figure it out, I definitely want to start up doing readings again, because I just feel like it's a way for me to touch people and connect with people, and I think it's very healthy and helpful for both myself and the other person. Just and staying in the habit of communicating with my spirit guides and other people's spirit guides, and using them because they're there. So many times I'm pulling my hair out, and hello, you got help. They're there with you all the time. But I'm not in the habit of always talking to them, and unless I'm in a dire situation, then it's throw up the white flag, help me. But yeah, if I can do that on a daily basis, and work with people and give them more insight into what's going on in their life to help them make those decisions that they need to make. So that's where I want to go. I do definitely want to get my course out there somewhere, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on that. There are platforms out there, but some of them cost a lot of money, and
Right.
I just don't have money in my budget right now for
Right.
that. So
That's understandable. You'll figure it out.
I will.
I have no doubt.
Hopefully soon.
So that I feel like whenever you're able to help somebody, that is a reward for you in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, it has been a pleasure to have you on here. And I know that you are going to do wonderful things with your channel. Everything I've seen so far is very inspirational.
Well,
And
thank you.
like I said, it helps people, obviously.
Yeah.
Like I know if I don't know, because I feel like you are like a counselor, an advocate, or whatever. So, all right. Well, I am going to say goodbye to everybody and thank you for joining us in the chat. And make sure that if you're not subscribed to Aurora Dawn, that you do. Please do, because it's wonderful content, and I feel it's spiritual. So, all right. Well,
Thank you.
You stay right there, and I'm
Okay,
going to
I
end
will stay right
this
here.
broadcast.
Bye, everybody.